just as we read in the Word about David and David's life, you know, in the Bible, your life and my life could just be added there. And we can look at your life and my life, and it can be another chapter. How God would want us, that our lives, just like David, will be a testimony to other people. And many times I see that, you know, we all are yearning for, if I have this big ministry, or I can do this and this to the Lord, or for the Lord. You know, at the end of the day, my dear friend, God is looking at the condition of our hearts. Doesn't matter how many churches you've built, how many things you've done. God is still looking at the condition of our heart, the motive of our heart. Why do we do what we do? And this is so important that I see even in David's life. Yes, there was a time in his life where he struggled with pride. And, you know, when he sent the people to the army, he counted and there were 70,000, and he was so filled with pride. But that pride brought him to a fall. And his whole life is a life of humanity, where he just shows us all, if you have pride, it's going to bring you to a fall. And at the end of the time, I see in David this man that are woven into the image and likeness of the Father. So his life ministered to others. And I read how his life even comforted people. When people came in his presence, their spirits was just comforted. His passion for God. People could see and feel his passion for God. If you read in 1 Samuel 16:23, and so it was, whenever the Spirit from God was upon Saul, that David would take a harp and play it in his hand. And then Saul would become refreshed and well, and the distressing spirit would depart from him. Yes, David has something. He carried something. It's called the presence of God. He came in and he took he starts playing some music with a harp, and he just sat there, and maybe in his spirit he just prayed, and all these spirits just had to depart. Why? Because of the presence of the Most High God. That's why I keep on saying, you know, what you first need in your life is God's presence. Sometimes you can be around people and you just feel the unease. You just feel how their spirits are not in peace. David was a normal man. He had a job, he worked, he had a wife, he had kids. He was the king, preparing to be the king. But I see that he was a diligent worker. And he honored God in his day-to-day work. He honored God in everything. He even honored God when he faced the giant. He always honors God. He was respectable. He always wanted to finish a job. If I read an easy one, Psalm 23, how he started his journey, he explains the journey until the end. So nothing was too big for him. I look at his character, and this is something very, very beautiful. You know, if you only care about yourself, it's a life and a character of self-centeredness. Now, many people ask me this question around the world. If they hear I come from Africa, oh, it's so bad there in Africa. And yeah, we have our challenges. And, you know, one of my challenges is I receive weekly, daily emails of my fellow South Africans that ask me, Retah, would you pray more for us, for the farmers and the people that are killed? Why don't you pray more over your videos over that? And I said, you know, I don't only have a South African watchers. I have people that watch this video over the world. And I don't want to just let them know every day, you know, how bad it is and people are getting killed, even though it is the truth. I said, but you know, even in that, even in our situations, God created out of us beautiful, beautiful nature characteristics. Do you know that there is be more beautiful fragrance in this realm of the spirit than trusting God, being dependent on God, not your eyes on man, but on God, looking out for each other. Yes, and this is something that I can tell you in South Africa, even what we go through. There are many Christians, Africans, and, well, I see myself as an African, and if you want to say it, white and darker Africans, but we are Africans. Some murder, but they are Christians in all of us. And we are looking out for each other. You know, there is a young man, his name is Jeffrey. And he comes and he brings once a week a newspaper and he puts it in our little door, our green door. And in COVID time, I watch Chantal every night that she puts out an extra plate. And I thought to myself, you know, nobody works, nobody's here. It's for who is she putting out an extra plate? And she kept on doing that and kept on doing that. I just leave her and we put an extra plate out. And she made it little parcels of food and she froze that. And anything of Aldo that's not, that he doesn't wear anymore, too small or not perfect anymore, Josh, she collects it. She makes parcels. And every week she gives Jeffrey his week's food with something to drink, with something, a new warm blanket or a jacket or something. While COVID time was there, let's say 3 months, so every week she asked us, didn't Jeffrey ring the bell yet? And we said no. And she was worried about Jeffrey. And I could hear when we pray, she prayed for Jeffrey. And now you all know about the storms we have in Cape Town and how people go in the water and drown in the water. And she was just praying for Jeffrey. And yesterday I was in my office and I could hear there was a locomotion in the home. And I'm like, what's going on? And Josh screaming, Chantal, come quickly. Jeffrey's here. And it was 1, 2, 3. And she had this big bag of food that she froze all this time for Jeffrey. Josh ran out with a jacket for Jeffrey, with stuff. And I looked at that. And I said, dear Lord, thank you. That's not a ministry. That's not your name in red. That's a nature. And I look at David's life and I saw how one lamb went astray. And there was a bear and there was a lion that wanted to eat that lamb. And he went out after that lamb. That's Jesus coming after one lamb and pursue us and keep on pursuing us. Even if we are far from him, he's been good to us. And he has a storehouse filled with what we didn't come to get. And the day when we turn to him, it's waiting for us. And I looked at how everybody ran and it was pouring rain and Jeffrey was wet. And even Josh came and he gave him a jacket and he gave him an umbrella. He says, Mom, sorry, I gave him your beautiful pink New York umbrella. I looked at him, I said, you did? He said afterwards, sorry, Mom, I only realized it afterwards. I said, it's okay, Josh, it's okay. So Jeffrey was taken care of. And I'm not trying to tell you about my family, how awesome they are. I mean, we all have our stuff. But I'm trying to say to you that God delights himself in that. He loves when we have his nature, when we mirror what we see in him. When we mirror and we tell our children, look how God provides for us. Look, this came through. Look what how God provides for your studies, Josh, for this, Josh, for this. Look, this is the God that we serve. And then if we can do a little something to someone else, and never be too proud to give, never be too proud to receive. You know, because I come out of this mentality where we look after each other. Sometimes I see in America, if I want to bless somebody with something, I can't give a hand-me-down. I can see, no, they don't like that much. While in Africa, even we love, my friends, we love to, I don't wear this jacket anymore. Do you want this jacket? Whatever. Maybe it's our situation, but I just learned to honor God, even in my habits, to honor God in caring and taking care of others. Honor God with your life. Honor God in the way you speak to your parents. Honor God the way you speak and talk about your friends and other people. Honor God in everything you do. Honor God in the way you speak to your wife. Honor God in the way you speak to your husband. Honor God. This is a life surrendered to God. You see, why I was telling you about Chantal, we are all unique. And yesterday I talked about Tina's, his way of doing things. He's not the preacher, but he's having the character of the Father. And, you know, Chantal is not in the front, and she's not the biggest one that talks, and she struggles sometimes to have a conversation with people. But when I looked at her yesterday, and in COVID time, when I saw how she cares and what she do and how she takes care of Aldo, she honored God with her nature, taking care of people. Now, David's life was all the time on God's mind, and God uses him for his glory. David's life was a life of discipline, and we see how many times God disciplined him. And sometimes when people tell me their story, I feel in my spirit, I wonder if this is not only just disciplines, that God disciplines you now because he wants his glory through you. But David's life was available to God to be used. David's life was empowered by the Lord. He was an example of godliness to others. And David's life displayed humanity. Yes, he made a lot of mistakes, but he always returned to the Lord. Always. And say, forgive me, I was wrong. So his life ministered to others. And this is what I'm trying to say. Not only his words, my friend, your life. For me particular, I rather look at somebody's life than words. Anybody can preach, anybody can speak. To speak to other people, to stand on a podium and to speak to thousands of people, that's nothing. Anybody can do that. If that is one of your gifts, you can do that. But displaying the heart of the Father, not everybody can do that. David wanted to honor God through all his work. And I'm not saying not everybody can do it. Everybody can do it, but everybody don't want to do it. Okay? So everybody can do it, but not want to. So David wanted to honor God even with his habits. And he wanted to honor God with his life. And he honored God's name. And he also dedicated his trophies to the Lord. Whatever he overcame in God's name. This is weekend. And I want to bless you with a wonderful weekend. Even if you have to keep on working, make time to rest. Give your body time to rest and just to enjoy life. I bless you, my dear friends. And God's will, we speak Monday.